Hello everyone, this is SWTOR here, back with a Nostalgia Republic video. Today I have for you guys a Nostalgia Republic discussion video. In today's Nostalgia Republic discussion video, we're just going to be going over the GTN. Now, I'm surprised I didn't make a discussion video on this before. After many episodes, I haven't actually talked about just the GTN itself. So I'm just going to be talking about why you should use the GTN and why it is really reliable and a really good source to go ahead and get new items, rather than going to the vendors and of course, just using that instead. So this is going to be me just talking about, buying and selling stuff on the GTN and using items and of course just selling them yourself. But yeah, I think that's going to be, really what this discussion video is about. I'm just going to be going over most of the aspects of the GTN. So I hope you guys enjoy this, discussion video. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, then make sure to leave a like. And if you guys want to send us gaming glasses, then check the links down below. No scope gaming glasses, but yeah. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the discussion. Alrighty guys, let's get into the discussion right now. So as you guys know, in Nostalgia Republic, there's something known as the GTN. Now the GTN is a place where you can sell items, that you can buy and purchase items as well. And it's a place where you can just go and do this with any players on the server. Is a really nice thing, of course, mainly because of the fact that of course, with the GTN, you can usually find almost any item that you could possibly want in the game. It honestly usually depends on, who is there. And what I mean by who is there, it really just depends on, I say who is on your server, the amount of people on your server, and the population and all that different stuff. But yeah, it is a place that you can, of course, sell and, of course, buy items. It is really awesome. But yeah, so that is just something right there. Now, what I want to talk about in this video, like I said, is just different aspects of the GTN. Now, the nice thing about the GTN, of course, is, like I said, you can usually find it, on the started planets of the game, and you can also find it on the Republic fleet and the Imperial fleet. You can get it for different decorations and all that different stuff. But yeah, the thing with the GTN is it's really reliable, but at the same time, it can be a really costly, of course, little adventure to go into. Now, I say this because if you aren't careful and you don't really look into the prices of certain items, you could end off, just kind of getting ripped off, or, losing some credits that might have, been, worth saving. I say this because a lot of people love to, of course, flip items on the GTN, or people like to, buy up the stock on certain items. So, sometimes people can put up items for a lot cheaper than usual, and then sometimes, there are times when there's a high demand for an item, so the price will, of course, raise up. And it will start to go up a lot when you, of course, could save and then buy stuff later on and then get your item and then pay a lot less credits. So, the thing about the GTN is that, like I said, a lot of people seem to forget that, I say there's not really a determined price. Basically, who determines the price is the player. Now, obviously, when a lot of people see the price for a certain item is around a similar range, people will try to, of course, just go to that. But even then, like I said, of course, the player is determining the price. There's no system that really determines it. It really comes down to the demand, of course, how many people want it, how cool it looks, and all that different stuff right there. Now, the GTN, besides just, of course, being used for just a credit sink, just a place to buy cool and unique items, it is still a place to, of course, get some required stuff in the game. For example, in the GTN, you can usually buy some endgame gear that can be crafted. You can also buy certain gear while leveling, and you can usually buy stims and med packs from people to help when you need some extra advantages when it comes down to actual content. So, a lot of people know about this. Once again, a lot of people obviously know about the GTN, but at the same time, people need to realize that the GTN is really a reliable place to just go everywhere. Because I know that there are some people that will just, just hop right into this game. They'll be like, this is a GTN, wow, I can just buy anything here. But they won't realize that there are so many different options when it comes down to it that you can actually get from the GTN. But yeah, it is quite literally a gold mine for people because it's a good place to, of course, make credits. It's also a good place to get items that you want. Now, one thing that I do want to go over right here also with the GTN is the importance of watching a price of an item and making sure that you are getting a good deal. Now, since the items can be, they can be priced by the players, you have to realize that people can sometimes price stuff too high, or you can also realize that sometimes people might price it too low, in which case, I mean, in that case, you can obviously try to buy it, maybe flip it, or if you want that certain item to use, that might also be really useful to you. But yeah, I mean, you have to realize that you got to make sure that you get a good deal. With a lot of people tend to, of course, look at the prices on items before they buy them. I know, for example, with me, with this item right here, this regen item, I saw that I was going on the Ebon Hawk for around like 6 or 7 mil at the one time. I was like, okay, you know what? I can almost afford this. So I believe that I could actually afford it at the time. But I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to wait for this. I'm just going to make sure that I get myself a good deal. And so what I did was I actually waited, a reasonable amount of time. I didn't wait like too long, but I did wait like a couple days just to continue to look at the price. And I noticed that, instead of seeing 6 or 7 mil for this, I saw one going for around like 5 mil. So I was like, okay, you know what? Or actually, I think it was like exactly 5 mil, but I was like, okay, you know what? The price went down about 1 mil to 1.5 mil compared to all the other prices that people were having. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and buy it right here, which I did. And even then, looking at the GTN, I haven't checked just recently, but even then, still, I felt like, I got a reasonable price. Instead of, I would say investing or spending, 1 mil or 2 mil or, 1.5, I actually, saved myself some credits by just waiting it out a little. That's something that you should understand. It comes down to the big ticket items, is that if you want to buy an item, you should sometimes wait. It can be risky to wait sometimes if there's like a really small amount of the items and people, don't, or they have reasonable prices. But if you want to take the risk and you do want to wait just to see if you can get yourself a lower price, then that's also important. But you have to realize that sometimes people will overprice items, and it's best to get some clarification with other people and just understand if you're really getting a good deal or not. For example, sometimes on the GTN, I will actually see people with the Zerka Creatomatic. Now, these people will sell them for try to sell them for rather 55 mil, 60 mil, and 65 mil, just some pretty crazy prices. I mean, you have to realize is with myself, I got it for around 30 mil plus some extra items and whatnot. So I mean, compared to like 60 mil or like 65, those crazy prices, I feel like that is still a lot better compared to the prices that are on the GTN. Even that, some people would say that my price, or the price that I actually bought the Creatomatic, is still kind of, a bit expensive. But at the same time, compared to all the other places I was looking on the GTN, and all the other places where I was looking to try and get this item, that seemed like the best deal that I could possibly get at the time. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So, I mean, you just got to realize that sometimes you can get ripped off if you aren't careful, and you should always pay attention to the price and make sure that you're making a good, smart decision. Now, you should also realize that usually with the utilities and the stuff that people usually just need for just general purposes like stims and med packs, you don't really have to worry about those prices usually. They tend to be a somewhat low or a reasonable price for people, because, I mean, even then, if you just look through it, that's probably going to be the most bought item in the game is going to be, or specifically from the GTN, it's probably going to be, really low tier mounts so people can just get started and have a mount to actually, ride around in Star Wars Republic. Or it's going to also be it's going to be the stims and the med packs, because people do usually require those to complete operations and to complete content at a much faster rate. Because, I mean, you do have to pay attention to that, because, I mean, people do want to, of course, make credits on the GTN, or people still want to, of course, buy things off the GTN. We have to realize that some of the necessaries and some of the stuff that people really want to use. And one more thing people should understand with the GTN is that it can be a really competitive place. Because, I mean, a lot of people like to play the GTN, and people like to, of course, buy up items and whatnot. So if you are just into that and you do want to make millions of credits, then you can, of course, do that, obviously. But just understand that you sometimes will have to take some big risk, and you're going to have to sometimes, take a, chance with some items, but in the end it can be really worth it. Because, I mean, there can be, high-risk investments, and there can also be low-risk investments on the GTN. It just really depends on, what the demand is at a time for a certain item. Because, I mean, I guess you could say at really any time, just depending on the item, it could end, the demand could end at almost any time also. So you could take a risk by buying up a bunch of stuff, because if for some reason people don't exactly like the item anymore, or something else comes out, then it could end up not really working out in your favor. Because I know that sometimes with some of the really high tier items, there may be another high tier item that comes out that is similar to it, and some people will like that item compared to the other one, so people will start selling their older, say, cool looking item, or their really cool looking rare item. They'll sell it for less just to get rid of it so they can get their hands on the new one. So you just gotta realize that almost everything can be a risk if you're just gonna try to flip some stuff. but there are some low risk items and stuff that you probably will have some success with, but you won't make tons of credits. But there can be some high risk items that if you play the cards right and you get really lucky, then you can definitely become just basically swimming in credits, because I know that people can of course do that, and that happens to people also. But I mean, yeah, I mean that's really it when it comes down to the GTN. I just felt like it would actually be good to make a video just talking about the GTN, just what people use it for, what there is just besides buying and selling, because I feel like sometimes people don't exactly remember, or actually just don't really notice that people tend to, of course, just try to make money off the GTN, and that you usually can get a really good deal off the GTN if you just pay attention, you play your cards right, and understand what's going on. Because I mean, there's actually a bunch of different stuff on the GTN. There's different tools, there's search bar, and all that different stuff. So if you do pay attention and you are really careful, then you will succeed pretty well at just knowing what you're doing, and of course, just getting a good deal and using your credits wisely. So I think that's it for this SWTOR discussion video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.